So, as most of you know, my name is Sandra Reimer, and I'm the founder of Co-Labor Nation, and we're a community of marketing and communication freelancers who collaborate to multiply our impact and our income. And today we are privileged to have Julie DuPont with us. She is a leadership coach, and she is going to help us pilot when we're at a stage in our businesses when we're ready to hire subcontractors. Now, hiring subcontractors is very different than hiring employees. It's much more leading a team of peers, which is what the title of today's interactive workshop. And that requires a lot of emotional intelligence, some skill, and also really understanding what's important to the other person to be able to influence well in a situation where you don't have the stick of you're not going to get paid unless you do what I say. So Julie's going to teach us some things, some principles, and then she's going to give us an opportunity to practice some skills in breakout rooms. Before we jump into that, I want to just introduce Julie formally. She is a leadership coach, a team coach, and a facilitator, and she has more than 18 years experience helping leaders in North America, South America, Europe, the UK, and Asia. Julie's mission is to help leaders create work environments where people can be at their best. Take it away, Julie.
Thanks, Sandra. Did you want to take a moment just to introduce yourselves? If we can do that really quickly.
Absolutely. Why doesn't everyone say your name and the focus of your business? I'll go first and then pick the next person. So Sandra Reimer, and the focus of my freelance business is communication strategy for nonprofits and socially minded businesses. And I pick Kate.
Thank you, Sandra. I'm Kate Sullivan. I'm a certified online business manager with Virtually Connected Solutions. And this is a perfect topic for me because being an online business manager, I need to hire subcontractors, and I have hired subcontractors and need to do so for my clients as well. So it's important to get a good fit. I do have a background in HR. I graduated from St. Mary's University with my degree in human resources. So I always find these topics fascinating, and it's an ever-evolving world. I'm looking forward to spending time with you guys today.
Thank you.
And then just pick the next person.
Sorry. Yes, thank you. I'll go with Barbara.
Oh, you were muted.
Thank you. So, and thank you, Kate. So my name is Barbara Robinson, and I have a company called River Road Creative. I work helping organizations and government departments on communications, and marketing, particularly around conservation and environmental issues. And I work a lot with subcontractors. Also, I've worked, and it's on a project by project basis. I've worked with as many as 15 on one project. So some of the projects have been quite large, international projects, but typically only a few. And one of the things I want to learn about today, I'm wanting to grow my business so that I can delegate more work to subcontractors. So I'm really looking forward to this presentation. And don't worry, Julie, if you're not exactly covering that, because oh my God, I'm not covering that. It's all good. Thank you. So I'm going to pass it over to Janet.
Great. You know what, Barbara, my business is a little bit like yours. I think we've got some feedback here. So I do graphic design and copywriting, and my favorite kind of clients are organizations that are doing significant reports or communication to their communities or to the wider public. And I'm also at a point where, well, I haven't worked with as many subcontractors as you, but I'm also at a point where I'm needing to know how to do that. So thank you very much, Julie, for being here today and helping us with this.
Great. All right. Well, I'm excited. It's going to be interesting. And, I'm going to teach this the way I normally teach it, with usually to emerging leaders. So people who are like lead hands or, you know, the next in line to be promoted in a business environment, who are saying, you know, I wish I had more authority. If I was the boss, I can get more done. And this whole thing is about, how do you get things done through other people when you don't have, you know, as you mentioned, the stick in your hand to threaten with a paycheck. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so can everyone see my first slide? Awesome, thank you. All right, so influence without authority. So this will be a fairly interactive session. So I'm glad that you can all be seen and heard, and we'll be using the chat a lot, especially at the beginning. I encourage you to have a paper and pen handy to take notes. I'm glad to share my slides, but I believe in job security. And so I don't give everything away on a slide. So people say, just give me the slide and I don't have to attend the presentation. You get your value from the content that I will be presenting. And so that's where the note taking will come in handy. All right, and so let's begin with a quote from the very brilliant Ken Blanchard, who is a leadership guru. And he says that the key to successful leadership is influence, not authority. Go ahead, add in the chat if you agree with this quote or not. All right, so Kate does, Sandra's finding both. All right, and Janet's not too sure. She figures that authority matters as well. It does as well. And Barbara agrees. Okay, so we're a little all over the map on this one. That's okay, right? We're just trying to get a sense of, you know, what are we talking about here? So I have a question that I'm gonna, again, ask you to put your answers in the chat. And that is, what types of situations require your influence? So where do you need to be influential? So go ahead and add that to the chat as well. Discovery meetings. Trying to get work done. Needs to be done next. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, anytime we're having to work with other people, we're going to need to practice influence. Communication, marketing, negotiation. Yep, setting a tone, sales calls. Absolutely. So there's no shortage of opportunities to use influence. Having said that, and I'm going kind of back to my Ken Blanchard quote, but what is the value of using influence rather than force or manipulation? And so I know we're not talking about the use of formal authority, but I've seen those in formal authority use the bottom half as opposed to the top half. So I'm asking you, what's the value of using influence rather than force or manipulation? If you could tell me that in the chat. Buy-in, nailed it. Yeah, people feel respected. Yeah, it does allow others to have a voice. Thanks, Janet. All right. So yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, the buy-in piece is so important because that's what we really, really need. People feel respected. It's cross platforms, not top down, right? And we've been, I don't know if you've all been in organizations where you feel that top down approach to leadership and how limiting it can be for the people who perform there. Where Kate mentions, right, we're getting collaboration when we can use influence. Absolutely. And so the model I'm proposing to you today is the Cohen Bradford influence without authority model. And it's based on the law of reciprocity, right? We reap what we sow, or, you know, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. It's basically what goes around comes around. And so I'm going to break it down so you can actually see how you might use this when you're dealing with people who may not actually be in a formal reporting relationship with you. So the very first step is to assume that all are potential allies, right? You need to assume that everyone can help you. So you have to start by seeing every single person around you as having something unique to bring to the table and who could be a great ally, because you just never know who or what people know that can be beneficial to you, to the team, or to the project. It's important that you're giving everyone a fair chance to prove their value, including the most challenging person in the room, right? It's so easy for us to sometimes discount that challenging person going, oh, they've got nothing to offer. Just give me stress, that's all they give me. But if you write them off too soon, it can lead to missed opportunities. And so you really need to start by figuring out where you might find some common interests and make it clear by your words and your actions that you truly are interested in building a relationship with them. However challenging they might be, we need to see the unique value that they might bring. Now, the hard part about this is that we have to do the bulk of the heavy lifting because we have to take the first step to trust first. If you want to be trusted, you have to trust first. So when it comes to things like sharing important information, right, it's going to be really hard for us to build trust if we keep our cards too close to our chest and we're not sharing information because we figure it gives us a leg up, right? And so showing others that we trust by sharing resources, sharing information, listening to their ideas, listening to what they have to offer, to their input, that is how you begin to create a win-win situation. So assume all are potential allies. Second step is to clarify your goals and priorities. You have to stay focused and remember why you want to influence these people. What's the benefit of having these people on your side? What's your ultimate goal? And do you know yourself enough to know what's important to you personally, right? This is going to be really important. If you're not clear on your priorities, you're not going to keep aligned with them, which is very easy for you to kind of start sacrificing things. So is your priority task accomplishment or is it building the relationship? I think for most of us, we'd say both. Great. And so how do we ensure that we are treating each person on the team in a way that actually honors both of these priorities? So this is where it's going to become important to separate our personal needs and desires from what's truly necessary for the project. Otherwise, our personal desires can get in the way of a successful outcome. So if you're intent on having people do things your way, personal preferences can actually get in the way of the project's success, and you might damage relationships. And so both of those priorities are now being compromised. So you got to be clear about what you're wanting from the people you're trying to influence, and be honest with yourself about what you're willing to trade off to get what you need. So there's nothing wrong with being a perfectionist, right? I've heard some people say, well, I'm a perfectionist. I expect a lot of people around me. That's okay. But if, as you mentioned, if part of your priority was building a team of people that you can depend on, what parts of your perfectionism are you going to have to give up so that you can be aligned with your goal of building healthy relationships and reciprocal relationships? Okay, so we've started learning a little bit about the influence without authority model, and I'd like to give you a chance to see how you might actually start using it, because we know that learning without action is entertainment, and that's not why you're here. So in a moment, I am going to put you into some breakout rooms where you're going to strategize. We weren't counting on this few people, Sandra.
I know how we can do it, Julie. You be the person we're going to influence.
Okay, sounds good. All right, and so we'll form two groups, and what you're going to do is, your goal is to influence me to join your team. And so let's assume for a moment that I have something of value to bring. And what you're going to do is spend a little bit of time strategizing how you're actually going to get me to join your team, using, of course, your influence. There is a ask for help button in your room, so if you have any questions. But really what I want you to figure out at this point is, how might I be a potential ally? And what are your goals and priorities at this point? Questions? Okay, so you're going to have 4 minutes in your breakout room. And we come back, we'll talk about what you discussed.
Julie, can you just briefly repeat what we're doing in the breakout room? We're talking about how you might be an ally and what our goals and priorities.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're starting to put parameters around, okay, so this is an influence authority model. The goal is to get me to join your group. That is the goal. When? So, what kinds of things were you discussing in your rooms?
Well, Sandra
We
and
had
I
2
got
rooms,
pretty
right?
much got right into it. Yeah, we formulated a few ideas and we think we have a really good plan.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
What about the other group?
Sorry?
The other group?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the other group, that's Barbara and I, and we also think we have another great competing plan to steal you to our idea.
That's
All
a
right.
healthy thing.
Yeah. I'm excited. All right. Well, that's great. So I'm glad you're starting to strategize, think about how you're going to do some influencing. Let's continue with learning more about the model. So the next step is to diagnose the world of the other person. This is really about understanding the other person's situation. So understanding where the other person is coming from is key to identifying what drives their decisions, right? And so listening to what they have to say will not only make you understand where they're coming from, but more importantly, where they'd like to go from there, right? So you're starting to get a read on this person. It's going to be really helpful. Of course, the challenge here is to determine what's going on in their world and how that's impacting their decisions. So you want to try to find out what's happening in their environment that might be shaping their current goals, concerns they might have, needs they might have, right? For example, like where they are in their career might influence their decisions to help you out. So think about somebody who's brand new, fresh graduate, wants to, make a splash in the world versus someone who's looking to retire in the next 2 to 3 years and how they might see this kind of project work, right? There could be expectations, right? The expectations people have of themselves or of others, that could drive their behavior, right? That kind of person's like, no one can please me. You're going to be very, very selective about the projects that you join versus someone who's like, hey, I'm just doing it for the experience, right? And so it's understanding those things is going to help you to diagnose the world, but also help you to communicate with them in a way that will be more influential, because these things have a really powerful effect on what somebody might want in exchange for their cooperation. So what matters to them are the costs for giving you what you want. And unless you understand your world, you're not going to understand the weight of those costs. And this is where you got to be careful of not blaming their choices to potentially say no on things like bad character or a challenging personality or a hidden agenda, right? You're not going to build trust that way, right? It's important for you to understand how what you're wanting fits into the larger context of their life and how you might work together to ensure a mutually beneficial relationship. So another way you might find out what's important to a potential ally is to find out what their currencies are. This is the next step of the model. So Cohen and Bradford explain that they name the things that people care about as currencies because the term equates something of value that you have that you're willing to trade for something of value that the other person has. So let me give you an example. We all pay money to have food, right? Both money and food are valuable, and we're willing to exchange one for the other when there's a need. Similarly, many people recognize that having a job means that you trade your time for money, right? Time is very valuable, but so is money when you have bills to pay. So as you've probably guessed, most people care about more than one thing, and they'll be willing to trade various things to get what they need when they need it. So the more of someone's currencies that you can identify, the wider range of possibilities you'll have to offer in exchange, if you know what resources you have access to. A lot of people underestimate the resources that they have at their disposal, so they jump to the conclusion that they're powerless. Well, yeah, I really need your help, but I'm sorry, I've got nothing to give. It's not true, right? A careful look at the many things you can do, if you don't have a budget or formal permission, can reveal potential bargaining chips. So maybe it's saving someone time or saving someone money. That can be a currency. Or being able to learn valuable information or knowledge. That could be a currency. Meeting high profile people, right? These are all examples of currencies. So let's take a closer look at what specifically the currencies are. So Cohen and Bradford do admit that this list is not exhaustive, but they provide it as a starting point for what many people value. And so if we start with inspiration-related currencies, these are things that add meaning to the work a person does. So that can include an inspiring vision, or the chance to accomplish work that's really important, or being able to work with excellence so that you have pride in your workmanship. Or maybe it's about doing work that has a positive ethical or moral implication because it's just the right thing to do. So inspiration-related currencies just means that people are inspired by the work that they're given the opportunity to do. And that's a currency for them. It's valuable to them. Next, we have position-related currencies. And these are about getting help with career advancement. So this includes the chance to be recognized for contributions, right? So winning awards for your work. Maybe it's about exposure to powerful people. Hey, if I do this, the CEO of that company might notice me. Or it could be about having a boost in their credibility or their reputation. So people with this currency, the position-related currency, like having the fancy title, and they want to be noticed. That's what's important to them. Relationship currencies are about the relationships that are built while completing the task. They say yes because the possibility of building a beneficial, lasting relationship is important to them. So this is about feeling accepted, feeling included, having a sense of belonging, and feeling understood and supported by the people around them. That's the relationship currency. Task-related currencies are directly connected to the feelings of accomplishment of getting the job done, right? So to appeal to these people who value task-related currencies, you want to provide access to the proper resources so they can be successful. Or you're providing them with a challenging or a stretch assignment where they have to overcome an obstacle and have pride in saying they did it. Or maybe it's getting help on less desirable tasks, things that don't really appeal to them, right? But that they're able to get something they do like done. So that's what appeals to people with the task-related currency. And finally, our personal currencies are the things that enhance the person's sense of self. People who value these currencies want the chance to reinforce their self-concept. So if they see themselves as humanitarians, then that's the kind of work they want to do. Or maybe they see themselves as team players and they enjoy contributing to a group effort. Maybe they see themselves as workhorses. And so that the work that requires perseverance might be right up their alley. Regardless, when it comes to having the personal currencies, being able to do work that fits with the image that they have of themselves is highly rewarding in and of itself. So people ask, well, that's a lot. How will I know? How will I know what someone's currencies are? Well, a useful way of knowing what's important to potential allies is to examine how they interact with others. What do they seem to care about? What do they signal by their language? What do they talk about first when they're explaining why they do or don't want to cooperate, right? You're listening for their values. And if you're still stuck, ask in a very collaborative way with the aim of finding ways to help them so they can help you. Here's the thing with currencies. You have to be really, really careful not to underestimate the importance of their currencies to them. So you may not share their currencies. So if the relationship currency isn't important to you, maybe it's more to you, it's about the task. You want that pride in accomplishing and getting it done. But to them, it's about the relationship. If you're not speaking their language, if you're not understanding what it is they want and need to get fulfillment from the project, it's going to be really, really hard to connect with them in that way. So just because you don't value the same currencies doesn't mean they're not extremely important to them. And that's really important to understand. The next step is to deal with the relationship. So just as important as knowing their currency, will it be for you to be realistic about your relationship with them? This is two aspects to it. First, what's the status of your relationship with that person? Positive, neutral, or negative? And two, how does that person want to be related to? So if you have a good relationship, we know this, it's a lot easier for you to ask for what you want without having to prove your good intentions. The trust has been established, the relationship is in good standing, it's easier to reach out. If, however, the relationship has been damaged or is non-existent, like there is no relationship, you'll need to work hard to build the required trust and credibility before you jump into asking for full cooperation. What's going to help you build that trust and credibility will be knowing each person's preferred ways of being related to. So some will like you to bring a thorough analysis before you launch into a discussion with them. Come with facts and figures and show them, proof that this is going to work. Others will be happy with some preliminary ideas and would be happy just to brainstorm with you about the possibilities. Two very different ways of working. Very important that you figure out how to relate to these people differently. And you're going to use, you'll have a lot more influence if you're using an approach that the other person is comfortable with. So relating to people in your most preferred style without taking into account their preferences can be an exercise in frustration for both of you. So the skills that you're going to need to develop around these are, of course, communication skills, emotional intelligence skills, and active listening skills, right? You're paying attention to what it is they need in order to feel productive and to be willing to work with you. Originally, we were going to have Sandra be the one that you're going after, but since it's going to be me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my top 2 currencies with you. And this is to help you gain some information around, okay, so if we're going to appeal to Julie, are we appealing to the right things? So for me, relationship currencies and personal currencies. Okay, so that's what's important to me. So knowing that, I want you to think about how you're going to strategize and keep me moving forward.
Can we ask you questions, Julie, about, can you give an example of your relationship and personal currencies, or is that not information you want to give us?
Sure. So when it comes to if I think back to being in the corporate world, when I was invited to work on a project with people, I thought of who was going to be working on that project, because to me, personality fits are very, very important. And so if I knew I was going to be sitting with a group of engineers, there was a little more reluctance for me, as opposed to being with another group of facilitators or with a group of gregarious, and I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but gregarious accountants, because there were some of those in my company, right? And the chance to work with them, these people who are light and fun. It was like, yeah, that's who I want to build this relationship with. That's who I really want to work with, because it'll allow me to bring all of what I can bring, as opposed to, again, you have to work really hard to communicate in a way that works for people. If I have to, so I'm DISC certified, so I use a lot of, DISC personality profiling. I'm thinking, if I can't bring my influence to a group of conscientious people, it's going to be a struggle. It's not going to be as fun for me. So that's with the relationship one. With the personal one, it kind of boils down to, what's important to me, what are my beliefs, what are my values, and do I get to do work that allows me to work to that? If you ask me to do some leadership training for, and I'm not, there's no judgment around this, I'm just saying this is my value. But if you ask me to do some leadership training for a tobacco company, I'd really struggle with that. because I'm not a smoker and I don't support that whole, industry. So it's, so it'd be like, healthy living, that's my thing. And so, that personal, that sense of self that I have is, being healthy, being able to promote things that are important to me, things that I value as well. And so I probably gave you way too much information, but
Oh, that's totally helpful. Woohoo.
Yeah.
How long do you want us to be in the breakout rooms?
well, I'm going to take you through the final step.
Okay.
And so, this is the influence through give and take. So before I head you back to the breakout rooms, I'm going to give you the final step, because this is about establishing what it is you have to offer that's valuable to your ally, right? Once you're feeling like, okay, what I have to offer is an irresistible offer. That seems to be something I'm hearing a lot of these days. And so I'm feeling well positioned to make the exchange, right? I can ask for what I want in return because I have something valuable to offer them. And once you've done that, you have to remember to keep building the relationship with mutual respect for each other. So you're staying engaged with them. It's not like, oh, good, you said yes, awesome, you're on your own. But you're staying engaged. You're continuing to show them that you trust them. You empathize with them because you have an understanding of their world. You're acknowledging that, right? You're keeping the relationship in good standing, and you're always looking for more ways to help them as they're helping you. So the more you give, the more your credit grows, as per, of course, the law of reciprocity that this model is based on. Okay. So having learned this second piece now, let's see if you have any adjustments you want to make to the plan that you had. And so I'm going to send you back into your breakout rooms where you're going to have a few more minutes to plan your pitch to me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop into your breakout rooms. Now, Sandra, we haven't figured out how I'm going to do that. I don't know if I'm going to have the ability to pop myself in and out.
I will make you the host,
Okay.
and then you'll be able to do that. Okay.
Waiting.
Okay, so you see where you're the host?
I don't. Hold on, let me check again. Yes. Okay. And okay, so we'll see how that works. Wonderful. All right. And so
Okay.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a chance to go back into your breakout rooms, and then I'm going to pop in. You'll have me for 1 minute. So this is kind of taking us back to clarify your goals and priorities. You need to use your 1 minute really, really well, because you'll have me for 1 minute where you can ask me anything. And then I'm going to jump into another room. But you'll have 5 minutes in this next room where you can kind of hone your plan, hone your strategy for how you're going to influence me to join your team. Questions? All right, welcome back. Welcome back. And so, I'd be interested in hearing your pitches. So you'll have so who'd like to go first?
Barbara, do you want to go plunge in?
I'd like you to do it, Janet, because I think you're going to be awesome at it. Honestly, I just think you're going to be the better pitcher. I think you're more articulate on this sort of thing. But
I'm a picture.
ITCH.
Okay, we've been throwing words around, Barbara and I, and so our pitch to you. Oh, yeah. Woohoo. Our pitch to you is to join collaboration. And the reason we would want you to do that is because you can use collaboration as your own personal growth area to build a product that can make you a leading edge influencer in the space of leadership. The product is making micro teams, making a scalable technique for building micro teams and training them. And then that is a product that then you could sell to the corporate world, because they're having to become like freelancers right now in the post-COVID era, with so many more people working virtually. Corporate people are now forced to think a little bit like freelancers about their teams. but you wouldn't have to go looking for subjects on which to practice, polish, and workshop this new product of Power Micro Teams. Sandra already has the people with the creative ideas and the drive to be independent and productive. And these are the greatest people to practice that product on and develop it, so that you would have something that I don't know if anybody else in the leadership segment would have, because Sandra's group is the only one in Canada of collaborative freelance workers. So consider joining and having your own personal forum to develop an incredible product that the world needs.
All right. Thank you, Janet. Definitely keep that in mind. Thank you.
So
All right.
fun. Wow, I didn't see that coming. That's such a creative idea, Janet.
It is.
There you go. You not only get invited to a team, Julie, you get a product idea for free.
All right. That sounds good. All right. Next presentation.
Okay, so I'll pitch for us if that's cool, Kate.
Please.
We've just thought about our skills and you joining our little micro team. So Kate handles operations for businesses, getting them all set up, getting them organized. I'm a communication strategist. So we want to propose that you join our awesome little team where we can shoot for the same kind of target client, under 50 business owners who just love to learn and are passionate about leadership development, but they're terrible communicators. So that's where I come in and help them clean up their communication. And I notice, boy, oh boy, their business operations need to clean up too. So we pull Kate in, and then Kate sees what they really need is leadership development. And that's where we pull you in. And the beauty of this micro team that we would like to invite you into is that this little amoeba can have a flexible head. So it might be you pitching the job, noticing that, wow, I'm doing leadership development, but they need to clean up their business operations, or wow, they really need help with their communication. So we're proposing a team environment where there's these wonderful reciprocal relationships with referrals. And if we did work on a project together more closely, where it's closer collaboration than just referrals, we would have team meetings where we could chat over how to best meet the needs of the clients and how to serve them really well. Yeah, we just want to invite you into a wonderful team environment.
Okay. All right. Well done, both teams. That's whew, okay. Well, that's going to be hard. I have to now choose which team I'm going to join. As kind of taking notes of things that were said that really appealed to me. Both of you used the word micro teams, and so that made it hard, because it's like the fact that you used team instead of group, there's a different connotation there. So that was cool. Janet talked about being an influencer, and it was like, oh, I really liked that. But she also talked about being independent, and I thought, okay, all right, that's okay. Sandra talked about, using words like referrals, reciprocal relationships, collaborations, serving clients. And I thought, oh, that sounds really good. And I think with the different messages coming to me, so what I heard from Janet's group was more around, you'll have a product to sell. I have to say, what I liked about Sandra's is you get to work with some really cool people. And so I would probably join Sandra's group as a result of that. But great try, Janet and Barbara. That was really well done. And I'm hoping that, you got some value from that exercise. I'd love to know what value you did get. And so, I know we're out of time. Share one takeaway. Do you have time for that?
What I got out of that was really amazing, because it was such a challenge to think like I wasn't expecting this, to think really quickly and then to formulate a pitch, which Janet is really good at, and it sounds like Sandra is as well. And I thought, well, I really need to, in fact, I wrote that down about working on that. Yeah, so I think just like pulling together ideas really quickly and having the right language as well. I got a lot out of that. Thank you. And thank you, Janet, for being amazing.
That was fun working together.
It was a good presentation.
Yeah, and what I heard really was that the relationship part of the job appeal was what sold it for you.
Yeah, that was really why I kind of said it first, because it's like my number one is definitely relationship. And you're right, Barbara. It really was around the language. It's like, what am I hearing? Like, are you appealing to the things that are really important to me? And it's like, and I don't know if Sandra, when you guys are talking about that, I don't know if you were very intentional with using those kinds of words. I don't know. But that's, people listen for what they want to hear. And I was totally getting that. Yeah.
They want it. And I understand this in terms of like when I write a proposal or something, because I know I'm always thinking like that, but on the fly, I realize like I'm not so good at that. And it's the same kind of thing. You have to be quicker on your feet though. You want the person to see themselves in what you're saying. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, I also don't want to, give the impression that relationships should be rushed. Like that's the only thing. Don't take that away. That because these things do take time.
Yeah, but I mean that's the challenge of it, right? Is formulating everything in a really short time and being eloquent and articulate. Janet.
For the record, though, if you were really in real life going to join a team, Janet is way more fun than I am. She's like really funny, so I would probably join her team. I'm very task oriented if we're really talking the truth.
Everybody has different wonderful qualities, right?
Absolutely.
Different superpowers and
yeah. But the best team is the one that has them all, right?
Yeah. One of the things I took away though was how much understanding the other person's currency affected the pitch. Like when we first met, the pitch was totally different. But when I heard about what you valued, I'm like, shoot, I got to change the whole pitch.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity, ladies. This was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I had this opportunity to share this with you.
Thank you for your time
and
your expertise.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
really
good.
Great. Thank you, Julie.
Thanks a lot. See you
and
later.
Thank you, Sandra, too, and Janet.
You're welcome.
And Tracy.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.